Welcome. Let's talk about the world's top 10 man-made tragedies. Number 10. The Aberfan Colliery Slip.
Big man-made disasters happened in Britain, which made the Aberfan Colliery Slip even more shocking. In October 1966, the village of Aberfan was hit by more than 6 inches of rainfall and caused the 7th spoil pile to subside. At 9.15 GMT on October 21, 1966, a vast quantity of saturated debris broke free from the pile and traveled towards the village at speeds between 11 and 21 miles per hour and in waves up to 30 feet high. The result was devastating. 144 people lost their lives, 116 children were among the dead. The fast-moving material demolished school, and 18 nearby houses were destroyed.
Number 9. The Seveso disaster. This industrial accident took place at a chemical plant north of Milan, Italy. On Saturday, July 10, 1976, the factory was producing a chemical called 2,4,5-trichlorophenol, which has been used as a chemical weapon and in weed killers. On that day, a chain reaction ruptured the reactor, and that in turn caused 6 tons of toxic chemicals to burst into the sky. The cloud settled over 6 square miles of the surrounding area, including the town of Seveso. Huge areas of land were evacuated. Number 8. Chernobyl meltdown. The explosion at Chernobyl is one of the world's most infamous man-made disasters. It started with engineers performing a routine experiment that was supposed to find out if the plant's emergency water cooling would work during a power outage. The test had been carried out previously, but on this occasion, there was a power surge and engineers couldn't shut down Chernobyl's nuclear reactors. Steam built up in one reactor, the roof was blown off, the nuclear core was exposed, and radioactive material was released into the atmosphere. Workers and firefighters were hospitalized and 28 people quickly passed away from acute radiation exposure. It took nearly 2 weeks and military intervention to extinguish the fires. Number 7. Montana asbestos clouds. In 1919, the discovery of a mineral called vermiculite changed Libby's fate. 1963 W.R. Grace and Company bought the local mine, by which time it was producing 80% of the vermiculite in the world. The asbestos contamination in Libby has had a devastating impact on the town. Over the years, thousands of people have been exposed to asbestos, and hundreds have died as a result. The town has been declared a Superfund site, and the Environmental Protection Agency is working to clean up the contamination. Number 6. The Deepwater Horizon oil spill. Oil spills are among the most visible man-made disasters of our times, and 2010's Deepwater Horizon incident is reputed to be the largest marine oil spill in history. The Deepwater Horizon oil rig was a floating platform that was drilling an exploratory oil well around 18,300 feet below sea level in the Gulf of Mexico. That, in itself, was not a problem, and the rig was operating well within its limits. But on April 20, 2010, methane gas from the underwater well expanded and rose into the drilling rig, where it ignited and exploded. The explosion quickly engulfed the entire drilling platform, killing 11 workers, and 94 crew members were evacuated. 2 days later, the rig had sunk. They tried to halt the leak with remote-controlled underwater vehicles, a 137-ton containment dome, and by drilling a secondary well. But the oil flowed for 87 days. Number 5. The Bhopal disaster. On December 2, 1984, there was a gas leak at a pesticide plant in Bhopal, India. It was caused by malfunctioning safety systems and a runaway pressure increase of 40 tons of a chemical called methyl isocyanate leak into the atmosphere. That's a huge amount of toxic material, and the plant was surrounded by densely packed housing, so more than 600,000 people were exposed to the deadly cloud. Innocent people suffered from coughing, eye irritation, burns, breathlessness and vomiting, and thousands of people died within hours. Number 4. The Sidoarjo mud volcano. Most people think of lava flowing from a volcano, but in Sidoarjo, Indonesia, you'll find the world's biggest mud volcano. It was created by an explosion at a gas well drilled by an energy company. It all started on May 28, 2006, when a borehole was drilled to nearly 10,000 feet. This caused water, steam, and gas to erupt from the ground nearby, and by the next day water, steam and mud began to emerge again, and it's been there ever since. It's officially called Lumpur Lapindo, and is commonly called the Luzi volcano. Initially, the volcano erupted with more than 6.3 million cubic foot of mud per day. Number 3. The North Pacific Garbage Patch. The Great Pacific Garbage Patch isn't just made up of crisp packets and drinks bottles. Most of the plastic in the patch has broken down into tiny pieces that simply make the water look cloudy, and ecologists estimate that 70% of ocean debris sinks to the bottom of the sea, so there could be far more below the surface. The patch size varies. Estimates range that it sits between around 270,000 and 5.8 million square miles depending on sea movement. Some of the items in the patch are over 50 years old because plastics just aren't biodegradable. Unsurprisingly, the patch has a terrible effect on wildlife. Marine animals can get caught in bits of plastic or in abandoned fishing nets, which can quickly lead to death. Animals can die when they mistake plastic items for food. Number 2. Californian wildfires. Climate change has seen wildfires become a far more common threat around the world, and 2018 saw huge areas of California affected by some of the worst fires in recent memory. More than 100 people died in more than 8,500 fires across California, and the fires destroyed more than 24,000 buildings and burned 2 million acres of land. There's no doubt that the fires were a man-made disaster. The years that preceded the fires saw an increase in temperatures due to climate change, and that killed plenty of trees in California. Number 1. The Jilin chemical plant explosion. This incident took place in the Chinese city of Jilin in November 2005, and saw a series of explosions at a petrochemical plant. In the immediate aftermath of the blasts, more than 10,000 people were evacuated from the local area. The explosions released around 110 tons of pollutants into the Songhua River. And that was a big deal, because several large cities depend on that river for their water supply. Supplies were cut off for several days while the water supplies were cleaned up, and water had to be transported from unaffected cities to help people cope. Chemicals were detected in Russian cities and in the Sea of Japan.